Top 27 Best Things Seen by Hubble Space Telescope. Hi guys. Welcome to True Channel. Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, also subscribe to my channel. Top 27 Best Things Seen by Hubble Space Telescope. So make sure to watch the full video. The timeline indicates that a quarter of a century has passed since the Space Shuttle Discovery launched its dream cargo into low Earth orbit. The school bus-sized Hubble Space Telescope has overcome the distorting effects of our planet's turbulent atmosphere, promising to provide a clearer view of the night sky than humans have ever seen. There were, of course, glitches, including the main mirror being worn out of shape and the inevitable wear and tear on equipment in the harsh conditions of space, but NASA anticipated the problems. A series of 5 maintenance missions not only restored Hubble to its original specifications but also rebuilt the observatory into a 21st-century science machine. With new cameras and spectrometers running almost 24/7, Hubble is doing a lot of things today that would have been almost unimaginable in 1990. How much has Hubble accomplished on its 3 billion miles, 5 billion kilometers, around the Earth? Scientists have published more than 12,000 articles in peer-reviewed journals using Hubble data. Not all science comes from new observations. Researchers routinely mine the Hubble archive, which currently contains over 100 terabytes of data. But for most of us, Hubble's greatest contribution is its images, which cover the universe from the next door, the Moon, to the first galaxies in the universe. Over a 25-year period, Hubble captured more than 1 million images of nearly 40,000 objects. The 28 we've shown here are a handful, though honestly, it's easy to pick a completely different set and say the same thing. 1. The Pillars of Creation. This is probably one of the most recognized Hubble images. It captures the colorful glow of gas clouds, tendrils of black cosmic dust, and the famous rust-colored pillars in visible light. 2. The Eagle Nebula. Scientists recently used the Space Telescope's Wide Field Camera 3, WFC3, to focus on one of Hubble's signature targets, the Pillars of Creation, in the nebula of the Eagle, M16. Inset. In the near-infrared, WFC3 shows the silhouette of the pillars against a background of stars. 3. Able 1689. Scientists estimate that Able 1689 contains thousands of galaxies and is up to 500 trillion times the mass of the Sun. What matters is to distort the space around it, to distort and amplify the light of the galaxies further away. 4. NGC 1300. Like the Milky Way, NGC 1300 is a barred spiral galaxy that spans a bit more than 100,000 light-years. In such galaxies, spiral arms wind out from the ends of a star-filled bar. 5. The Cone Nebula. The massive star at the top of this image emits ultraviolet radiation, eroding the edge of the Cone Nebula 226, NGC nebula. This process releases gas, then ultraviolet light excites the hydrogen-rich material, causing it to emit a characteristic red glow. 6. Horsehead Nebula. In visible light, this cloud of cool gas and dust appears dark in bright radiation. But at the near-infrared wavelengths trapped here, the nebula glows as its gas releases energy absorbed by encrusted young stars. 7. V838 Monocerotis. In January 2002, the star seen in the center burst into one of our faintest galaxies. This image 2 years later captures the surrounding dust cap illuminated by the eruption. 8. Omega Centauri. The largest globular cluster in the Milky Way, Omega Centauri, NGC 5.139 billion. A sphere with 1 to 100 bright stars within. 9. Supernova Remnant N49. Hubble allows astronomers to examine objects in nearby galaxies with unprecedented clarity. Case in point. These shattered remains of a massive star in the Large Magellanic Cloud, 160,000 light-years from Earth. 10. The Carina Nebula. One of the main star factories in the Milky Way is the Carina Nebula, NGC 3372. Born there about 3 million years ago and was first created in molecular ignite in a hydrogen cloud. Ultraviolet radiation and stellar winds from these stars carve an expanding bubble of heat. Now, as this gas rushes into the surrounding wall of cold hydrogen, it triggers a second wave of star birth. 11. Cigar Galaxy. A plume of hot hydrogen is erupting from the central region of this star galaxy, also known as M82. The clouds of gas colliding there give rise to stars, many of which exist in massive clusters at 10 times the speed of the entire Milky Way. 12. ARP 273. When spiral galaxies interact, tidal forces distort their normal majestic shapes in this pair. The upper galaxy's spiral arms are stretched and twisted. The cluster of bright blue stars at the top reflects the star formation storm triggered by this encounter. 13. Spiral nebulae. The complex shapes of planetary nebulae, such as the Helix Nebula, NGC 33, cause them to be interspersed with other nebulae, NGC 729, and in Hubble's most compelling theme. These objects sound the death knell for Sun-like stars, exploding their outer layers, usually multiple times, when they run out of nuclear fuel. 14. Helix Nebula. The parent star of the Helix Nebula, IC 418, is shedding its outer layers several times and filling the planetary interior with a large amount of gas. A white dwarf star protrudes from the center of the nebula. These stars feed gas into the nebula and make it shine. 15. Eskimo Nebula. Astronomers call this planet the Eskimo Nebula, NGC 2392, surrounded by Earth, because it looks like a telescope, surrounded by a terrestrial globe. Hubble dissolved the fur of the mantle into countless streams of gas that looked like giant comets pointing toward the center of the nebula. 16. Retina Nebula. An irregular network of dark dust lanes crosses the central region of the Retina Nebula, IC 4406. Each orbit is about twice the size of Pluto's orbit around the Sun. The image is color-coded, so hydrogen is green, oxygen is blue, and nitrogen is red. 17. The Red Rectangle. This object has not quite reached the planetary nebula stage. Although the central dying star has ejected most of its outer atmosphere, it has yet to evolve into a white dwarf. The cold dust forms distinctive features that look like rungs on a ladder, reflecting starlight. 18. Twinkle Planet. Using an amateur telescope, Twinkle Planet, NGC 6826, has a central white dwarf star so bright that it floods the entire nebula when viewed directly. The nebula flickers when viewed from the side. Hubble clearly shows both, as well as two red dots near the edge of the nebula. 19. Cat's Eye Nebula. The mass loss of aging stars does not always follow a pattern. The Cotton Nebula, NGC 6543, has at least 11 concentric shells surrounding its central white dwarf star, each ejecting every 1,500 years. But about 1,000 years ago the process changed and shiny irregular shells were forged inside. 20. The Insect Ant Nebula. Some suspect an invisible companion star is sweeping material out of the region, while others believe magnetic fields are involved. 21. Star Cluster NGC 602. The hot young stars in NGC 602 have carved out a cavity in a surrounding cloud of gas and dust located on the outskirts of the Milky Way's satellite galaxy, the Small Magellanic Cloud. This image combines Hubble observations, shown as red, green, and blue, with X-ray, purple, and infrared, red, data. 22. Veil Nebula. About 5,000 to 10,000 years ago, our ancestors may have seen a massive star exploded in the constellation Cygnus. The ripped remnant of the star now extends 3 degrees or about 75 light-years. This close-up Hubble image shows a small portion of the northwest edge of the Veil Nebula, less than a light-year in diameter. 23. Tidal forces released by the gravity of the elliptical galaxy ARP 142. NGC 2937, below, distorts the previously normal spiral galaxy NGC 2936 above. Spiral arms and dark dust lanes are now randomly distributed across the galaxy's disturbed disk, while blue nodes trace sites of continued star formation. 24. The Sombrero Galaxy. This massive spiral system sits on the edge of the Virgo galaxy, approximately 35 million light-years from Earth. Sombrero, M104, looks like a traditional Mexican hat when we see its dusty disk 6 degrees north of the Milky Way's equator. 25. Sharpless 2 to 106. This hourglass-shaped stellar nursery spans 2 light-years and is less than 1 degree off the galactic plane of the Milky Way. Young stars, where the blue lobes meet, just below the center, trace the complex shape of the surrounding nebula. 26 Antenna. The galaxies NGC 4038 and NGC 4039 merge. Billions of new stars were born from this cosmic collision, most in bright blue clusters. The large yellowish spheres in the upper right and lower left are the nuclei of the protogalaxies. 27 Orion Nebula. Hubble has provided astronomers with a seat to observe star birth in the Orion Nebula, M42. This dense cloud of gas, dust, and young stars lies just 1,500 light-years from Earth. The hottest and most massive stars have already emerged from their cocoons. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to our channel before you go.